We will be invincible.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back. Well, actually, welcome back from me. I'm back from being out of town for a few days. You're listening to the Jack Clegg Show. This is WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. You can also see us on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Tonight's show, because this is a call-in show and we invite callers to call, it's 504-556-9696. Okay, tonight we got several topics, and before we get into those topics, which are the two main topics we're going to talk about tonight, are the absolutely detached and foolhardy efforts by the EPA to change how we drive vehicles. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Another topic we're going to talk about was something I mentioned before I left town, the April 22nd oral argument before the Supreme Court in the Grants Pass case, and that is the case involving homelessness and whether or not a city can prevent people from sleeping on the sidewalks or putting tents in public places. And we're going to talk about that and how absolutely the reporting on that has been so misleading. And I'm aware of the case. I've read the briefs, and then I've also read what the Washington Post said about it today. And there's a huge disconnect. Anyway, before all the fight and talk about the EPA taking gas cars away by half the gas cars away by 2030, and the foolishness, my opinion, of preventing a town from having ordinances preventing people from sleeping on the sidewalks and preventing people from putting tents up in parks to live there. Before that, we're going to talk about angels. There's a detailed story that I have by a former Marine and trial attorney from Savannah, Georgia, all around good guy. His name is Rob Ray. And he wrote this story, which I have. And if anybody wants it, you can send a copy, contact the show, and I can give you a copy of his entire presentation. It's about 4 pages long. But I've shortened it for the few minutes we have tonight. I've known Rob Ray for a couple of years, but on my last trip, I met another gentleman in North Carolina. He was the aide de camp to General Norman Schwarzkopf. You remember Stormin' Norman. Everybody remembers him. Well, when he retired from the military, he became the CEO of a place called Camp Bogey Creek. It's in Central Florida. The camp has provided life-changing experiences for over 95,000 medically fragile children. They receive a free and unforgettable camping experience there. In 2000, Roger met Stormy. They worked together at the camp and eventually married. In 2004, they expanded the Camp Bogey Creek experience to Scottsville, Kentucky. It's called the Center for Courageous Kids. Similar outcome for thousands of medically challenged young people. And Roger and Stormy were the head of that. In 2015, Roger and Stormy retired in the area. They now live near Lake Chateau, North Carolina. And that's where I met. I met Roger. Stormy wasn't there when I was there. But this is the part of the story. You might think devoting your retirement years to helping thousands of children and their families might be enough to either give back or even give forward. But the story doesn't end here at what they did. In early 2021, Roger's 33-year-old son, who was a firefighter in Central Florida, contracted a very serious autoimmune disease. which his local emergency wards and physicians were unable to diagnose or treat. Friends helped him get admitted to the University of Florida Shands Hospital, which is a research center as well. They found he had something called good pasture syndrome. The exact cause is unknown. It can afflict the lungs or the kidneys. In Roger's son's case, it was the kidneys. He had spent 3 to 4 hours a day on dialysis. He could no longer be a firefighter. It did not improve, and his prognosis was horrible. He either had to get a kidney transplant or he would die. Both Roger and Stormy immediately were tested to see if they might be acceptable donors. Roger was not suitable for his son. He was not a match. But Stormy was a more desirable donor. Fortunately, a donor who had previously agreed to be an organ donor upon his death passed away, and he turned out to be a very good match for Roger's son. And in November 22, the transplant took place, and Roger's son is doing marvelously. But the story is incomplete. Stormy's results from her donor suitability test were terrific, and she was accepted by the, quote, paired kidney exchange. Such a thing exists. I was unaware of it. At Shands Hospital at the University of Florida. Her kidney was included in a pool of anonymous suitable donors. Yes, a 65-year-old woman who had devoted her entire life to medically fragile children and helping them out might have to one more time be called into action. Well, she was. Justin was a 35-year-old married man with 2 young daughters, 4 and 6. He had a very poor prognosis, worse than Roger's son was. He only had a 1% chance of finding a suitable donor. In April 2023, Stormy got a call from the paired kidney exchange at the University of Florida Hospital. She hightailed it down to the University of Florida, and Justin's transplant of Stormy's kidney was performed. In November of 2023, last November, Roger and Stormy had a wonderfully loving Thanksgiving, including members of their family and Justin, his wife Megan, and 2 daughters. They traveled to Lake Chateaugue and spent their best Thanksgiving ever with Roger and Stormy. This is how good things work. It's not over that. Justin's wife just became a kidney donor for a young girl from Georgia named Cheyenne. There are angels among us. I was fortunate to meet one of them, and I heard the story, and I thought I needed to pass it on. So we'll now get back after we take a break. Are we going to take a break now? Okay, we're going to take a break right now and come back in a few moments and get to the other news. But I thought I had to share this story. This is the Jack Clegg Show, WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com. See you in a few moments.
Vinyltech's warehouse is fully stocked with roofing, siding, gutters, and windows. Our 20 reps are working around the clock for you. Don't wait 4 months to get work done. Vinyltech has materials now and are prepared to start on your home. Vinyltech has the most roofing, siding, gutters, and window siding crews in the area. Call for a free estimate. We show up and get you done. 504-469-7590 or vinyltechnola.com. 504-469-7590 or vinyltechnola.com.
Tune in to Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO. Tell us what you're cooking or ask us how to cook it with Don Clement and Patty B. We'll share recipes, cooking techniques, everything from sous vide to grilling. Got a favorite kitchen gadget? Let us know about it. Your grandma's secret sauce? Now we're talking. Tips from home cooks for gourmet cooking at your home. Join Don Clement and Patty B for Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO.
Come on to my house.
The fastest growing conservative talk show in the South is now on 5 days a week on WGSO 990.
That's right. American Ground Radio has moved from Saturdays to Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 p.m.
American Ground Radio is based out of Louisiana and is grounded in the ideas that founded our country.
American Ground Radio is a show for everyone who believes there is greatness within each of us.
So tune in Monday through Friday starting at 8 p.m.
on the community voice of the Crescent City, WGSO 990 AM.
Do you have ghosts in your house? Well, I do. Hi, it's Bloody Mary, your local spirit guide, psychic medium, and celebrity ghost hunter. I run the Haunted Museum and Voodoo Spirit Shop in the French Quarter. Come do a ghost hunt with us and sharpen your communication skills with the other side. Don't be afraid. I'll teach you how to as we learn and do. Go ghost hunting, join a Victorian seance, and explore the beyond. Did you know that you can even plan an entire haunted night at the museum for your private party? 7 days, 7 nights. Join us. BloodyMaryNewOrleans.com.
After the storm is over, if you think you have wind damage or missing roofing, siding, and gutters, call VinylTech. They have a AAA rating with the BBB, so you know they can be trusted. VinylTech has been serving the New Orleans Metro for over 20 years. They are the local exterior specialist.
Hi, this is Shay Mulkey of VinylTech. Let us work with you to get your home looking brand new again. I guarantee you will be satisfied. Call me, Shay Mulkey, at VinylTech, 504-469-7590, and online at vinyltechnola.com.
Hey, this is Christian Garrick. I'm excited about my new show on WGSO 990 AM, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. There are a lot of things going on in this country and in this city that are concerning. I'm your voice. You might be afraid to speak out for fear of cancel culture or losing your job. Christian Garrick Show on WGSO is your platform, noon to 2, weekdays, right here on 990 AM WGSO.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back. This is the second segment of the Tuesday night edition of the Jack Clegg Show. All right, let's get right into a huge topic for America. And I hate to sound dramatic about it because the media sounds dramatic about everything, and I don't like that. We need to prioritize things. This is on the list of priorities, top 5. And what is the issue? The issue is, how much electricity do we have? And who's making the plans to take it? Just imagine. The FDA, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and President Biden have ruled, there's a rule. It didn't go to Congress. People haven't voted on it, but it's going to happen if they get their way, that by 2030, the states, every state, all 50 of them, half the vehicles have to be electric by 2030. That's what they're proposing right now. This also comes at the very same time they're making emissions for trucks almost unbeatable. You cannot, you won't be able to drive an F-150, an F-250. The EPA emissions are impossible. Okay. Now, and they can control emissions, and we have in the past. That's fine. But what they're fooling with is electricity. And let me switch over. What's the cloud? You know what the cloud is?
The cloud basically is it's more of a term for where you can save your photos, videos, and
Sure. Tech has not really explained to us exactly what the cloud is. It's where data, whatever the data is. And we kind of think, oh, it's just amorphous. No, it's not. And I didn't know where it was either. So don't act. I'm not suggesting you're not knowing is fail. Most people don't know. Well, it's located in places called data centers. There's actually a building. And there's data alleys with building after building after building after building. And what's there? All the data, bank records, every record that is kept, your dentist's records, your doctor's, everybody who saves anything on their computer, where's it go? To the cloud. Okay? And the amount of energy that has been stored, the amount of information that has been stored is now at a crisis level. There was a great article by Kevin Stocklin, Stocklin, on April 16th. It was updated today in the Epoch Times. Just read you the first paragraph. As federal net zero policies attempt to shift transportation, net zero policies are no more carbon dioxide, right? Attempt to shift transportation, heating, and other essentials onto the electric grid, one of the hottest growth sectors of America's economy is poised to increase electricity demand exponentially, further straining an energy infrastructure that is being pushed into the red. Yes, and just if that's not bad enough, just imagine we have in this country an ongoing issue right now. College campuses, you're hearing about it, where pro-Palestinians who support terrorism, okay, and what they've done to Israel on every college campus, and it's spreading like wildfire. It wasn't just one or two things, and one of the first things they're going to do, and we saw it happen 2 years ago, where they started attacking various energy supplies, seeing if they could get to the grid. And that's all experts are looking at the electrical grid saying that is our most vulnerable. Okay, so what are we doing? We're adding to it by all the electric vehicles? Really? So we have a caller online, Matthew. I've kind of set off this one. Matthew, how are you this evening?
I'm doing all right. And yes, that's a very juicy one for me. So when people talk about the grid, they conflate a lot of things. The grid is the generating stations. It is the substations that take the power at the very high voltage and drop it down to voltage that is usable
and transportable.
Amperage in the process.
And transportable. How they can move the electricity from one place to the other.
Right. And the power plants that they wish to replace our reliable coal and nuclear power plants with are intermittent and not reliable.
Not yet. That's correct.
Yes. Jack?
Yes.
I got some bad news for you.
What's that?
One of those things is solar. You said not yet.
Well, I was thinking about nuclear and how that could be used. Wind and solar.
Yeah, I'm talking about nuclear.
Yeah, wind and solar are very small. Yes.
And the banks, I saw an article on Zero Hedge, I believe it was. No, it was on oil price. Said that they're not interested in getting into financing nuclear power plants because those turn into such gigantic tar babies and fiscal drain holes.
Got it.
I understand their point of view. They have to make a return on every loan that they make out.
Sure.
And frankly, you just mentioned nuclear power, and people start freaking out because nobody knows anything about it. We've allowed popular culture to define everything that we know about nuclear power. which is unfortunate because like we've allowed popular culture to define everything we know about radiation.
Right.
That's unfortunate too.
Well, besides getting off on the nuclear power, okay, the key issue here is not having enough electricity, and the electricity that we have is being drained for uses that we haven't voted on. In fact, there are 25 states, the attorney generals of the 25 states are going to challenge this EPA reg because they're not sold on it, nor are the American people.
Well, you see, the people who currently rule us, and I mean rule us, are not, shall we say, liberal. They are progressives.
Right.
And the one thing that the progressives know is that the people are idiots and don't know what's good for them. Therefore, they must be governed.
Yes.
Preferably with, a fist made out of iron. How they're going to make this iron fist without electricity, I don't know. But they've got plans. Maybe they'll import iron fists from China.
Right.
The deal on them on Temu. But yeah, they're not like they're leaving you an option, Jack. This is not something that you have a choice.
No, it's just poor
If you want
planning.
to buy a new car, it's going to be electric or else.
Or else you won't buy one.
Right. And there are a number of engineering issues with electric cars as they're currently made that make me very reluctant to buy one that does not have an ejector seat, which comes with its own set of engineering issues. But at least I won't get barbecued.
Well, one other thing I wanted to mention as a factual matter, the cloud, as we started to talk about, and hopefully I've been able to convey that the cloud is not just something moisture-ridden and wet and not tangible. It is tangible.
Yeah. You're talking about the great data cloud that's run basically by Google,
right?
Amazon.
Well,
Web
they're nothing but building after building after building, housing machines that are storing data.
server farms. Yes.
That's all they are. That's all they are. Hold on, we'll come back and talk more about this on the break, and I want to get a little deeper into it before we get to our next issue. Thank you, Matthew. Hold on.
Donate your vehicle and make a difference. WGSO 990 AM has partnered with Charitable Adult Rides and Services, also known as CARS, to allow you the opportunity to donate your car, truck, motorcycle, RV, or boat to our nonprofit organization. You may qualify for a tax deduction while supporting a cause that is near and dear to your heart. Simply go to WGSO.com and follow the link on our homepage. Vehicle donation pickup is always free to you, and most vehicles can be picked up within 24 to 72 hours. You'll receive an initial car donation receipt upon pickup, and then the CARS team will work to turn your car into cash to support our cause. Once your vehicle is sold, the CARS team will provide you proper tax forms in time to file. Their friendly donor support representatives are available 7 days a week to assist throughout the process. Again, for more information, go to WGSO.com.
Hi there, everybody. This is Jackie Gumbo, inviting you to join me each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Uncle Jackie's Gumbo. A little bit of this and a whole lot of that each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on WGSO 990 AM New Orleans or WGSO.com. Bring your gumbo, baby. We're going to have us a blast.
WGSO 990 AM is the only locally owned and operated talk station in New Orleans. We feature 20 local hosts discussing a variety of topics. In an era when the daily newspaper is being discontinued and our competitors are out-of-state media conglomerates, we ask you, our listeners, to support local programming on a local station. To advertise or sponsor one of our great shows, contact me at jeff@WGSO.com or call 504-669-6076.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Colleen Crane. One man is dead after an apparent road rage shooting in Greenwood Tuesday morning. Caddo Parish Sheriff's investigators say witnesses saw two men arguing outside their vehicles on the I-20 westbound on-ramp. The driver of an 18-wheeler reportedly attempted to escape on foot when the driver of a dark-colored Acura SUV shot him. Authorities are looking for the driver of the SUV who fled the scene heading toward Texas. Earlier reports said witnesses with dashcam footage had come forward. Caddo detectives ask anyone with information to contact Detective Vincent Jackson. 54-year-old Glenn Sullivan of Springfield has been sentenced to 50 years and physical castration for raping and impregnating a 14-year-old. Livingston Parish DA Brad Cascio says sadly so many of these types of cases go unreported, and he admires the bravery it took for the victim to come forward.
Not only to come forward and to report it, but then to see it through and to continue to meet with our office.
LRN.
Have you lost Louisiana Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a new Samsung Galaxy A15 for just $99. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah! Good talk.
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. In-store activation on single Silver Unlimited plan or higher required. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees
It's
apply.
Jeff Cruer, host of Ringside Politics. I'd like to introduce WGSO General Manager Mary Ann Guzman.
WGSO is locally owned and operated right here in New Orleans. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasize local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, then we have some prime spots available.
Thanks, Mary Ann. Folks, take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
Hey everybody, this is Mike from the Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya Show. If you need to convert your existing bathtub into a step-in shower, call my friends at A New Beginning Refinishing. They can repair and refinish any type of bathtub or shower, no matter the size of the repair. A New Beginning Refinishing has been using a new high-gloss casting porcelain coating guaranteed to never peel. They also offer a unique service called the Tup Cut, which is a fraction of the cost of replacement, and adding a grab bar installation and a slip-resistant surface helps to improve accessibility, reduce accidents, and helps people remain in their home as long as possible. Call A New Beginning Refinishing, LLC for a free estimate at 985-279-5103 or visit their website at www.anewbeginningrefinishing.com. Or you can visit their showroom in Hollycrest Plaza at 600 North Highway 190, Suite 2 in Covington. That's A New Beginning Refinishing, LLC at 985-279-5103.
You'll never get a bum steer at Joey John Fro's Meats, 2324 Paris Road, Chalmette. An old-style butcher shop like Mom and them had. Also try Joey's Grill, using all fresh meats from the butcher set. 4th-generation butchers from the 9th Ward. You will never get a bum steer at Joey John Fro's Meats, 2324 Paris Road, Chalmette. 504-279-6590.
All right, New Orleans. Welcome back to the 3rd segment of the Jack Clegg Show, the Tuesday night edition. And we have Matthew on, and we were talking about, and I wanted to focus a little bit on the issue of electricity. And there's another issue too, but essentially electricity, and that it seems like our administrators and our leaders in Washington, the progressives, as you properly, I think, distinguish between progressives and liberals. A, they're in control of what's going on in the White House right now, but B, their thoughts are extraordinarily limited and myopic. Okay. According to the article that I was referring to earlier on the show, that clearly demonstrates that the electric power that is being used by these, we'll call them clouds to be nice, but the data centers is increasing year after year after year after year. And in fact, the article talks about in Europe and in the UK, they basically put a moratorium in place on any new data centers because there's just not enough power. So while we're looking at AI, which is going to drain even more power. And so what we're deciding, well, we're going to go to electric cars too. We want everyone to have an electric vehicle, which, and I'll have one, maybe we'll have 2 electric vehicles. It is so poorly planned that you can't even take it seriously. Matthew, your thoughts on that?
Well, the thing is they believe in magic. Remember, these are the people who think that human nature can be changed, molded, and shaped.
Sure.
So that's the first magic belief. The second magic belief that they have is that carbon dioxide is such a powerful gas that it's going to cook us any year now.
Remember a long time ago, remember when you visited someone in the hospital, what you were supposed to bring with you?
Flowers and a get well card?
Yeah. Why were you supposed to bring plants and flowers?
Because dying flowers somehow cheers up people who are feeling ill.
No. What do flowers give off?
As they die?
As they live.
Oh, as they live.
Yes.
Okay.
Why you bring
I've
plants, living
I've
plants,
never met
oxygen,
living flowers.
oxygen, oxygen.
Bring plants, yes. They'll bring oxygen.
And that's why
if they have a sufficient amount of carbon dioxide and ultraviolet light.
Exactly. And that's why people always brought plants to people that were ill. It was a good thing to do, a smart thing to do. Not a bad thing.
Bringing in an oxygen bottle. Okay.
Right. Exactly. And I just flew from New Orleans to the Midwest.
And boy, were your arms tired.
And it was very, very tiring. It was tiring. But I looked out the window. They let me look out the window. I didn't even have to pay extra to look out the window. That's really great. And our country is just blanketed with green.
Yeah.
And what?
A lot of green stuff down there.
What does all that green stuff do?
It primarily, between you and me, it absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and puts out oxygen.
Exactly.
And there are credible people who believe that we are in a carbon dioxide deficit.
Of course we are.
We haven't recovered the amount of carbon dioxide we had before the last global glaciation.
Right.
Which kind of, if you go into a global glaciation with a lot of carbon dioxide, what does that tell you about carbon dioxide's ability to affect the climate?
Sure. Simple. Exactly. But we are changing our mode of transportation. What makes America so incredibly prosperous is our ability to transport ourselves, transport our goods, transport our manufactured as well as our agricultural goods at a low cost. This is that's what has made this country great, and people take it for granted. And now the progressives want to take this thing they've taken for granted and change it.
Well, I'd never take it for granted, but I will tell you that one of the things that what I would call the conservative side, that, you know, the definitions nowadays are not fixed. But what our side has not paid attention to is what was being taught in our schools. And you know that science fiction movie Al Gore did, Earth in the Lurch, or Earth in the Balance or something?
Was it Inconvenient Truth? Wasn't that the name of
Yes,
it?
yes. Inconvenient Truth, yes.
Right.
As it turns out, while we were thinking that there's no way people are going to believe this stuff, that was being taught to our little crumb crunchers in kindergarten.
Well, and on the next segment, and I really appreciate you've added a lot of value to the show, and I appreciate that, Matthew. And we'll talk to you another time. We want to get on to our next topic, which I want to bring education into this. Is Matthew a nice segue from how students have been ill-informed about the planet, ill-informed about reality, ill-informed about what boys are and what girls are, ill-informed about how easy, just go to the doctor, take a few hormone shots, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Ill-informed people are now protesting all over the country. And frankly, they don't really understand. But I want to get to our final topic of the evening, which is the oral argument that took place before the Supreme Court yesterday. And the issue of that case is homelessness. And it is, can a town overrun by homeless folks create a strategy that prevents people from sleeping on the streets and prevents them from overrunning our public parks, public walkways with tents, stoves, small refrigerators, and their property where they can live in public. And this is all under the rubric of homelessness. And this case is really, it's amazing. It's this wonderful country of ours with great problem solvers. Somehow, we have let this homeless problem grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're actually before the U.S. Supreme Court. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to hear the arguments that are being made. Essentially, the argument is that you cannot have an ordinance preventing homeless people from sleeping on the streets or living in tents. The argument is because they have nowhere else to go. That's the argument. And so if you punish them for doing that and they have nowhere else to go, that's the argument. They have nowhere to go. So they have to be in a city. They have to be in a public place. That's cruel and unusual punishment under the Eighth Amendment. That's the argument that is actually being met. And the judges, all of them, accepted this as a fair argument. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about what homelessness really is. And I'm just wondering why they avoided this question. I'll be back in a few minutes. This is a Jack Clegg Show, WJSO 990. We'll see you in a few seconds.
When the time came, I knew I had to find a place where Mom would be safe and active while still feeling independent. A place that was close to all of us and everything she needed. Locally owned and operated in the heart of Gonzales, I found Francois Ben's Senior Living. They specialize in independent and assisted living and memory care.
Call 225-647-BEND for more information on our special pre-leasing offers.
Francois Ben's Senior Living. Experience life as it should be.
Hi, I'm Huck.
And this is Dave.
Please join us on Liberty or Lockdown on Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Be there. This is Lenny Minutillo, chef and co-owner of the Happy Italian Pizzeria, Restaurant, and Catering in Harahan, home of the original meat sauce pizza and sesame-crusted muffalata calzone. We have one of the Gulf South's unique granite conveyor pizza ovens, providing a crisp finish on our pizza pie. Our fresh doughs, classic and Neapolitan style, are made daily in-house using only spring water and organic flour. We have over 40 premium toppings. Choose from one of our 5 sauces and 6 different cheeses. Along with pizzas and calzones, we serve only fresh local seafood, eggplant parmesan, lasagna, ravioli, fresh pasta, daily specials, and local Louisiana favorites. Now, Wednesdays only, 50% off any bottle of wine from our list of over 65 to choose from. Happy Italian Pizzeria, 7105 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday for lunch and dinner. Find us at happyitalian.com, like us on Facebook, and love us on your Facebook.
Hello, y'all. Let's talk daily from 4 to 5 about our town. The Cynthia Clark Show is powered by Vinyl Tech, the Gulf Coast premier exterior home improvement expert.
I'm Ference Toth, host of the Your Personal Bank Show. I use common sense as an entrepreneur, financial literacy educator, and speaker to understand how current events affect our money, economy, and our freedom. Grow your money safely, reduce taxes, increase returns, and create positive arbitrage with Your Personal Bank. Tune in to the Your Personal Bank Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. or contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. The Your Personal Bank Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on WGSO 990 a.m. New Orleans.
Or losing your job. Christian Garrick Show on WGSO is your platform. Noon to 2 weekdays right here on 990 AM WGSO.
Tune in to Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO. Tell us what you're cooking or ask us how to cook it with Don Clement and Patty B. We'll share recipes, cooking techniques, everything from sous vide to grilling. Got a favorite kitchen gadget? Let us know about it. Your grandma's secret sauce? Now we're talking. Tips from home cooks for gourmet cooking at your home. Join Don Clement and Patty B for Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO.
Come on to my house.
All right, New Orleans. Welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Jack Clegg Show, the Tuesday night edition. And we're going to talk about the issue of homelessness, particularly as it applies to the Grants Pass case. And this is a case where this small town is attempting to regulate the conduct of homeless people. You can't sleep on the streets. You cannot camp in a public area, meaning you can't put up your tent and so forth. Now, most of the people that are listening to this show and that have listened to it have driven to Atlanta or New Orleans or cities throughout the country. And when you get closer to the downtown area, you see homeless people. How do you see them? Well, you see them begging on the streets. You see them living in tents underneath bridges and other areas. Well, in Grants Pass, they didn't want that to happen. And they told them if you do it, and it's an increasing scale of punishment, there's a fine and so forth and so on. But let me read to you, this is from the Washington Post today. Anne Marimau and Reese Feebolt. Reese, I believe, is from their LA affiliate. Okay. Supreme Court justices expressed concern on Monday about punishing homeless people for sleeping outside when they have nowhere else to go, while also struggling with how to ensure local and state leaders have flexibility to deal with the growing number of unhoused individuals nationwide. Now homeless people are called the unhoused. It's repeated 5 or 6 times in the article. The court's review of a set of Oregon anti-camping laws, that's what they're called, anti-camping laws, could lead to the most significant ruling on the rights of the unhoused in decades, with potentially sweeping implications for state capitals and city streets. Okay, first, on the issue of unhoused, it is a tragedy. But how come it's grown exponentially over the last 15 years? Why has it grown? And our politicians have essentially done nothing about it. Until next in New Orleans, they will do something about it when the Super Bowl comes to town. They will move them out and move them somewhere. That's going to happen. We know that's going to happen. That's not the answer either. And if you read the Washington Post article or anything about it, you can see, one, political correctness is coming into the argument. We don't call them homeless. We call them unhoused, as if everyone has a right to have a house or to be housed. Now, some people, bad luck, bad decisions, and so forth and so on, are unhoused, and you can have that. But we've got to come to a national consensus on this issue. We have another caller here. The Flaming Liberal. Okay. Go ahead, Flaming Liberal. How are you this evening? Hello. Hello. Okay, we're hopefully finding the Flaming Liberal who wanted to talk about this. We're not. Anyhow, the issue here, and I'm going to quote Judge Sotomayor, Justice Elena Kagan. Sleeping is a biological necessity. And for a homeless person who has no place to go, sleeping in public is kind of like breathing in public. No, it's not. Now, it's difficult. It's difficult. Not all cases of all homeless people are the same. That's first. Okay. So he called back. Oh, this is the Flaming Liberal? Okay. All right. Hello, Flaming Liberal. How are you this evening?
I'm fine. Thank you for your nice, gracious hello. By the way, you know, Louisiana is in a perfect place for wind electric generating power. And
what wind? You're saying wind power?
Wind power, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Louisiana is an ideally located place for wind
Sure.
power. It can generate a lot of well-paying jobs, revenue for the state. President Trump is adamantly opposed to wind power. So that's one way of alleviating the electric shortage, upcoming electric crisis. And I agree with you. AI is going to use a lot of electricity.
Sure.
So we need to increase our capacity to produce electricity without burning more fossil fuels that would further pollute the environment. And by the way, that carbon we put into the atmosphere, it's being absorbed by the oceans, killing the plankton where much of our oxygen comes from. But yeah, wind power, I think.
I think I've read that too. I don't know if it's actually a what would you say, a biosphere threatening level, but I've read the same thing. So what? Go ahead, get your point.
Well, another thing about producing, less fossil fuels is, and by the way, NASA has a satellite that can observe the infrared reflected heat from the planet Earth being absorbed by CO2. If you chart the temperature of the planet from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, every decade, the more CO2 we pump into the atmosphere, the hotter and hotter it gets. Did you know at the end of the last ice age, when the Earth warmed, the ocean level rose over 300 feet? And right now, the Greenland ice sheets and the Arctic ice sheets are melting at a rate you couldn't even imagine just a few years ago.
So,
and sea level rise, Louisiana is expected to have maybe 5 feet of sea level rise in the coming decades, which would the next time New Orleans gets a Katrina, I don't know if anything could ever put the city back together again. They can't build the levees high enough.
Sure.
They can't build enough flood walls.
So you're thinking that if we get rid of fossil fuels, this will change things?
Well, I think we need to cut back and using more alternative. And solar is a wonderful alternative. China is leading the world in solar panel production, and I think, but they subsidize their industries. The United States needs it's something I think the Republicans are against. But we need to subsidize more solar power.
Well, maybe we could take Americans and put them in the same kind of shelters that Chinese live in. Have you ever been to China?
No, I haven't. I don't care to go.
I
But
have.
think that's ridiculous
I've been
analysis.
there. I've been there. I'm not being ridiculous. Oh no. When you go to China,
what does putting people in shelters have to do with generating solar power? I don't see the connection.
well, if people do not have electric appliances and they do not have plugs to plug things into, then you can always have that electricity for another use, like your electric vehicles, which are so expensive, the middle class and the lower class cannot afford them. Okay, now maybe it's going to change. Maybe it will change in 15, 20 years. But in the meantime, the question is, don't compare how the Chinese live to how we live.
I didn't compare the way the Chinese are living.
Sure,
I said China is subsidizing solar power, and they're exporting it to Europe, and it's a great industry.
How are they exporting solar power? You mean the power, the materials?
The solar panels themselves.
Oh, the panels themselves.
Yeah, and China is selling a lot of electric vehicles.
It was kind of like that drywall that they sent to New Orleans after Katrina. Wasn't that from China?
Right, but now what does that have to do with a solar panel or electric vehicle?
It has to do with a country that does not care
Well,
what
Europe seems to be
equipment.
very satisfied with their solar panels and their electric vehicles.
Are they?
Yes. Why are you act surprised? You're not aware of that?
Because I've watched the farmers in 9 different countries go on strike. And the reason they is they've been told lies about electricity. They've been told lies about the ecology. Thanks for calling in. I wish you'd have called earlier. I'm sorry we don't have.
Hurting from the
I got
climate
20
change drought too. Human cause.
Sure we are. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling in, folks. Signing off this evening and Thursday night. We have an exciting show coming up Thursday night. We'll see you then.
Bring your business back to life with signs.